Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. Welcome, fellow dregs to society. Welcome, all you rock dwellers. Once again, welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. And joining me today as my co-host is the patriot from the battle-born state, the silver state of Nevada, and that is Sharron Engel. Sharron, welcome back to Conservative Commandos.
Thank you, Rick. It's always great to be here, of course, and I love those weekends. Wow, stuff just happens over the weekend, and now we have plenty of things to talk about. I especially am close to what goes on in California, and I guess one of the things that really caught my eye this time was Tammy Bruce. She's one of our favorites as far as some of the articles that she writes. She's pretty straightforward.
I chuckle, and I'll tell you why I chuckle. Sharron, I read the exact same article. In fact, we've got a request in for Tammy to join us tomorrow on Conservative Commandos. Hope
Good.
It works out, but she had a great article.
She
Please
did.
talk
Well,
about
then I won't blow her cover too much. I'll just tease. How's that? Because I was going to go through the article, but I won't.
No, go through the article because it is a great article.
I won't go too deep.
No, go deep because I've actually already have posted it on my Facebook page. By the way, I'm out of Facebook jail again for now. I'm allowed to post and comment again, and I posted a link to Tammy's article on my page, and so please don't,
Well,
let's talk.
Now we've got to talk about it. We got to talk about it. Democrat rule has brought trash heaps, rats, typhus, and more to California cities. Here's just some quotes out of that article that I thought were just stunning. Steve Lopez of the Los Angeles Times writes, "A mountain of rotting, oozing, stinking trash stretching a good 20 yards along a Skid Row alley. Rats popped their heads out of the debris like they were in a game of whack-a-mole, then scampered for cover as a tractor with a scoop lurched toward them. The trash problem is not confined to any one street, but this particular location on the 800 block of Cirrus Avenue is surrounded by food distribution companies that sell to shoppers, vendors, stores, and restaurants. I counted contamination of the food supply chain. I counted 7 within a block. So you have to wonder, given the colonies of football-sized rats, about the potential contamination of the food supply chain and the spread of disease. This is outrageous. And their answer, of course, is, well, we'll study this. We'll get a study group together. We'll study this. We'll make sure that we got Gavin Newsom. This one I thought was interesting too. Governor Gavin Newsom called growing homelessness in California a national disgrace as he announced Tuesday that he's launching a task force. A task force. He's going to go after this thing with a task force. He knows that it's a national disgrace. We've been talking about it on the show for over a year now.
We've had.
And it's hard. It's hard to go into California because you really don't know what to expect. The last one that I wanted to quote is the doctor. And he says, speaking of a medieval crisis. Now, when we think of the Middle Ages and medieval times, we think of the plague, the bubonic plague.
Indeed.
And so here he goes. The addiction medicine specialist told Brian Kimlade of Fox News that a deadly epidemic could emerge in the Los Angeles area during the summer months. So we're on it right now. They were getting into those summer months. And he says, I want to give you a prediction here. There will be a major infectious disease epidemic this summer in Los Angeles. He continued, we have tens and tens of thousands of people living in tents, horrible conditions, sanitation, rats have taken over the city. We're the only city in the country, Los Angeles, without a rodent control problem. We have without a rodent, so LA doesn't have a rodent control program. That was amazing to me. We have multiple rodent-borne, flea-borne illnesses, plague, typhus. We're going to have louse-borne disease. If measles breaks into that population, we have tuberculosis. We have tuberculosis exploding. Literally, our politicians are like Nero. It's worse than Nero, Pinsky said. So this doctor is predicting horrible things. And we've got in California, we've got the Democrats in the paralysis of analysis. They just don't know what to do, but we'll analyze it. We'll figure this thing out.
We'll have a committee. We'll have a study committee. Sharron, I can't Google, right? And we did not talking about this issue before we started the show today. So if I did, I would have been a little bit more prepared. But could you do me a favor and just Google something? Because I think I saw a study that a police officer maybe either got typhus or the bubonic plague out in California.
It was typhus. I saw that as well. He just on his regular beat. He's out there doing what he's supposed to be doing, and he catches typhus. It's awful. I mean, these are airborne, like he said, louse-borne. You're just out there doing your job, and in the summertime, we know that just breeds more. It's going to be hot. This doctor is, I don't think this is an ill-conceived prediction. If they don't get this under control, I'm planning on going to Long Beach in September, but maybe not. Maybe not.
Why? And Sharron, we've heard stories. And we've talked about here in Conservative Commandos, the feces that's on the streets of San Francisco, that people these homeless people just drop their pants wherever they are and go to the bathroom. All right. And that's on the street. That's in Nancy Pelosi's home city, San Francisco, the beautiful city by the bay. One of the great tourist destinations of our country. I don't know why anymore, but this is where liberalism is taking us. This is where Democrats controlling cities. This is where this open border policy. This is where letting tens of thousands of sick, poor, uneducated people into our country. This is what all this is leading to. I don't know any other way to describe it. It's going to be a disaster.
Well, you're right. And I wanted to just point out why Tammy Bruce is one of our favorites. This is a classic statement from this article. She says, in San Francisco alone, as New York Times reported, one of every 11,600 residents is a billionaire. The state actually has a budget surplus, but as we see, money can't cure stupid.
There you go.
Can't cure stupid. And that's what we're looking at. We look across that state line and are you stupid? You're going to now analyze this. Get in there, do some cleanup, get some prevention going on. We know how to stop disease. We go into third world countries all the time and help them stop their epidemic conditions. And yet, here we are with a state, as you say, the most beautiful state in the union sometimes because it has such a variety. There's just so much there, and it's such a producer of wonderful things, such a gifted state. Here we are sitting across the state line with no rain and lots of desert. We go, why them, Lord? They get it all.
And of course, when you say here, you are talking about your home state of Nevada. And Sharron, when you said that money cannot cure stupid, it made me think of this. Of all the people who come into instant wealth, like lottery winners, like sports stars, like celebrities, look how the money, in fact, screws up their lives tremendously. You're right. Money cannot cure stupid. And the idea that these politicians have, We'll just throw money at it. Well, you know what that's called, Sharon? Stupid money. That's what that's called. It's called stupid money. Hey, Sharon, let's take our first break. We've
Okay.
got three great guests we want to talk about on the other side. But this is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. Today's show, like all our shows, is brought to you by the First Amendment, protected by the Second. Don't go away. Sharon and I will be right back.
Wow. Itchy nose.
Sharon,
Yep.
I need you to hang up on me again.
Okay.
Right.
It's pixelating and
again,
stuff.
so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here I go.
Yep.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network and across this great country. And on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and seen on the AUN television network. Sharron, we've got three great guests joining us today. Who will we be speaking with?
Well, we're going to talk first to Jordan McGillis, who is a policy analyst at the Institute for Energy Research. In his role, Jordan writes on energy policy and then contributes to IER's communications initiatives. Jordan McGillis graduated with a Bachelor of Arts from the University of South Florida and a Master's of Arts from Seton Hall University, both in international affairs. Areas of focus: federal lands, permitting, drilling rights, etc., carbon tax, and climate change, free market theory. So we've got a newborn expert here. He's just recently from school, which will be good for us because we wonder sometimes what's going on in there in the colleges, what's coming out, and it's good to know that they're still producing some folks that have their heads in the right place when it comes to some of these things, because we've asked Jordan to come on and talk to us about 2 years ago tomorrow, the Trump administration announced the U.S. withdrawal from the Paris Climate Accords, and without it, the U.S. has reduced its emissions by more than 10% since 2005. So now the House of Representatives has passed legislation earlier this month to prevent the president's withdrawal from the Climate Pact, mandating that the U.S. develop a strategy to achieve commitments it made under that agreement. So Jordan's going to be talking to us about can they be successful in their attempt to keep us out of that climate accord just by doing legislation. Of course, they can't do any legislation that really matters. I can't help but think there just are no issues on that side. They just are obstructing what is already going on, things that have been planned to really improve what has been happening in our country. Our second guest is Alan Gottleib, who is a strong advocate for defense, a nuclear engineer graduate of the University of Tennessee, and publisher of Gun Week. He's chairman of the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation, and serves on the board of directors of the American Conservative Union. And we've asked Alan to come on and talk about the Virginia governor pushes gun control after the Virginia Beach shooting. This is amazing to me, Rick. We were listening to a program last night, and they've completely dropped from the mainstream media any coverage of the Virginia Beach shooting because it doesn't fit their narrative. It doesn't fit the narrative. Nope. The first thing in that narrative is that they think it's angry white men that shoot guns. Well, this was a black fellow that is responsible for this. The second thing in their narrative is we need more gun control. If we had more gun laws, well, by golly, we'd catch these guys. Well, this guy obeyed all the gun laws. He was perfectly right to have that weapon that he was carrying, and he had background checks, so out the window goes their second point. The third point of their narrative is that it must be an assault rifle. We got to ban those things. Well, he didn't use an assault rifle. And the fourth thing is that if we have gun-free zones, we'll be safer. Well, this was in a gun-free zone, so it's outside the narrative. We don't want to talk about it anymore. And I'm so glad that we've got Alan coming on to talk about the thing that the mainstream doesn't want to. Yeah, go for it.
I'll add a fifth element. He was a Democrat.
Oh, dang.
He was a registered Democrat.
Well, that just that's the reason we're not hearing about it anymore. It's just amazing to me. And then our last guest is Major General Paul Vallely, who is a West Point graduate, founder of Stand Up America, and former Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations under President Reagan, and retired as Deputy Commanding General for the U.S. Army Pacific. Now a guest military analyst for TV and radio and co-author of the book Endgame, The Blueprint for Victory in the War on Terror. And we've asked him to come on and just talk about world unrest, I guess you would say, because we're right now looking at Syria and what implications this may have. Are we looking at another Benghazi? Are we looking at another Vietnam? What's going to happen here? Another Iraq. So we'll get the general's take on this, and he's an expert in this field. He's been around enough to know when we've been in these wars, and he's fought a few of them. He's been in those theaters of combat, so he's an expert on what this is looking at like, and if we should be concerned about Syria. No, not so much. We're in a good place. So those are our three guests. I'm looking forward to those interviews, and I want you to say our line, because I want to talk about that line a little bit. Our line, your line,
I
always.
Will, but one other thing. Before I get to that line, let me just say this. General Vallely also says he has some very interesting news for us about the Benghazi attack that he wants to talk about. What line is that? Today's show is being brought to you by the First Amendment, protecting the Second.
That's the one, protected by the second. That's the line, because, I wanted to bring this up. We don't have this in the news either. It was the most violent weekend in Chicago this year. At least 52 shot, 10 fatally. Why don't we hear about this stuff? Well, it's because they don't want to talk about it. That's one of those things again.
Controlled city.
That's right.
Democrat-controlled city, being run by an ally of Barack Obama. So it's almost like you can't say anything negatively about Chicago, or you're being racist, because Rahm Emanuel, good friend of Barack Obama's, helped get him elected.
That's right.
As chief of staff.
Yeah, so this is the highest ever during a long Memorial Day holiday weekend. So it's not only the highest this year, but it's the highest ever that they've recorded. 52 people shot in a 12-hour burst of gunfire from Friday evening to Saturday morning. At least 4 of the 31 people shot during that time died after the attack on the west and south sides. By the time the weekend ended, at least 10 people were dead, according to the Chicago Police Department. The level of violence, which typically spikes during the summer months, eclipsed that of the 3-day Memorial Day weekend, when at least 43 people were shot, 7 of them fatally. So here we go. And, we hear so much about these shootings, but of course their only solutions are those things that we mentioned as I was introducing Alan Gottleib, that they've got a narrative. They've got a narrative, and that's to take away our guns. And if the story doesn't fit the narrative, the media is not going to cover it, because it's more important that they have a political agenda than that they give us real news. So I did want to point out, though, one last thought on that before we go on to another topic. There's
before you go on to that other topic, I want to add something, and I'm going to ask our listeners and viewers to go to our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. That on there I have a picture and a comment how liberals always say that, well, if you ban abortions, women will get them illegally, right? Well, what about guns? Ban guns. The criminals will continue to find ways to get them. All right, now Chicago has some of the strictest gun control regulations in the country, and as you said, 10 people shot and killed over the weekend. 48 others injured. I mean, my God, that's like a war zone, Sharron Engel.
Well, it is.
I mean, there were times in Iraq we didn't hear those kinds of statistics.
Okay.
It's a war.
And just to underline that, 81 illegal weapons were seized over the weekend. 81 illegal weapons. So, it just goes to underline the fact that criminals do not register their guns. They do not buy them legally. They're criminals. Get a grip. They are criminals, and they're going to act like criminals whether we have laws or not. They're going to get those weapons, as you said. But the final thing that I wanted to say is that the Democrat mayor in Baltimore has the solution, and it isn't gun control. Listen to this. He's going to prevent gun violence by mediation, by An alternative. He says, lace up the boxing gloves and slug it out.
Well, what happened midnight basketball, Sharon? I thought midnight basketball was going to end all this violence. Remember that?
Yeah.
We got to have how much money went into midnight basketball programs. We don't have a gun violence problem in this country. We have a criminal violence problem in this country.
And the criminals are not going to lace up their boxing gloves, are they, Rick?
They'll just get a gun. They'll get a gun illegally.
Why take a knife to a gunfight, right? Or a pair of boxing gloves to a gunfight.
It's ridiculous. I mean, and here, this is this stupid mantra coming from stupid politicians that are running the major cities. And by and large, they're all Democrats. Every single one of them is a Democrat. Where do you have all the violence and the crime? You have the violence and the crime in these Democrat-controlled liberal big cities. You're not seeing this in Paducah, Kentucky. Hey, Sharon, we do need to take a break, get our first guest, and you're listening to the Conservative Commandos with Sharon Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. We'll be right back right after this break with our first guest.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. Buyyourtimeshare.com. That's buyyourtimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with yours truly, Rick Trader, and my co-host Sharon Angle. For rebroadcast of our show, please check out our website, CCRShow.com. That's CCRShow.com. You'll find our radio show, our TV show, a lot of terrific articles, a lot of great information about our guests, and other things. And with that, Sharon, we do have our first guest of the day with us. The honor of the introduction is all yours.
It is an honor for me to introduce Jordan McGillis, who is a policy analyst at the Institute for Energy Research. In his role, Jordan writes on energy policy and contributes to the IER's communications initiatives. Jordan McGillis graduated with a BA from the University of South Florida and an MA from Seton Hall University, both in international affairs. Areas of focus: federal lands, permitting, drilling rights, etc., carbon tax, and climate change, free market theory. Jordan, welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here with you today.
We're happy to have you, and we're wanting to talk to you about a subject that we're almost afraid to talk to college graduates about anymore because we don't know exactly what they're being educated with. We think that climate change is one of those things where we don't deny that climate is changing, but we do deny that it's man-provoked and that the solutions that the left has for it have any real bearing in reality. And you've got a couple of articles that we'd like to discuss with you on that subject. One concerns William Nordhaus, who is a recipient of a Nobel Peace Prize. So could you kind of go into setting our hearts at ease about your education first, and then talk to us about this subject, will you please?
Sure. So our approach at IER is to provide policy commentary, policy analysis, and economics commentary. We're not doing any climate research ourselves, but what we do is assess all the information available to us, and then we provide our best judgment of what an appropriate policy course is. So part of that involves looking at simply what the mainstream within climate science is telling us, and then determining, okay, does that merit a state response, or is that something that is best left to the people? And our position is that even if we're using the mainstream, the IPCC numbers, the best approach for human beings going forward is free markets, in which we can all choose the solutions that work best for us, given our circumstances, given our constraints, given our opportunities.
Well, that sounds like it lines up with us here at Conservative Commandos, because we think the free market works just fine as well when we're looking for solutions. So let's go into William Nordhaus, who is the recipient of the 2018 Nobel Peace Prize.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so when we discuss Nordhaus, first I must stipulate that he is assuming, as we are, the mainstream within climate science. So he's assuming that there will be 3 to 4 degrees of warming Celsius over the next 100 years or so. Nordhaus assesses what he calls economic damages from climate change, and then he provides what he thinks would be the optimal solution for dealing with it. Our view is slightly different than his, but even if we use his numbers, what we find is that what we're getting from the US government in the form of the National Climate Assessment is way too aggressive. Nordhaus suggests that the best course for human beings is to allow economic growth to continue, to give us a lot of opportunity, and for climate change to continue occurring. He is not advocating for massive government intervention, which stops growth, which stops opportunity, to limit emissions. He's saying that even with warming, we'll be better off when we have a free market. So his work actually contradicts a lot of what we're hearing from the IPCC and the National Climate Assessment. Those reports are telling us that we must reduce warming from the estimated 3 to 4 degrees we're going to see to 1.5 or 2 degrees. Nordhaus is saying no, that would be very risky. It would cost a lot in terms of our well-being. And instead, we should have continued growth, and he stipulates that we should have some emissions reduction. Our view, a little bit different, but the important thing here is that even the mainstream economics school of thought is at odds with what we're hearing from the climate dogmatists.
Well, I'm glad you called them climate dogmatists, because it does seem like they aren't rational about this at all. They're not basing this in any kind of economic fact or even scientific fact. They have an agenda, it seems, and they're determined to go forward with that. 4 degrees doesn't seem like a whole lot of increase in temperature. What would that really mean to our globe? I mean, are the ice caps going to melt and we're going to be in 5 feet of water? What's going on?
Okay, to be very clear, this is coming from the most central estimates from the IPCC. I'm not cherry picking on the low end. I'm not cherry picking on the high end. They are estimating that we'll face about 3 degrees Celsius of warming, and that will result in less than 1 meter of sea level change in 100 years. So that's a centimeter per year. And I think it's pretty safe to assume that what they're suggesting to us is probably slightly overhyped. And even in that IPCC scenario, we're looking at about a centimeter per year of sea level rise. In my opinion, that's something that free people can handle just fine by thinking long term, by putting their resources where they think they should go best.
And don't build in floodplains, right? Just kind of stay out of the wet areas.
There are definitely government policies that are making this challenge a real problem, and it's something you just mentioned is one of them. We're basically incentivizing that people move into floodplains by subsidizing insurance. That's something we should really reconsider.
Good thinking. Now let's go to the economics of this, because, we talked about a little bit about the science of it and exactly what we can expect. It's not going to be doomsday in 12 years, as we've heard, but over the long run, we can expect a little rise in the sea level. But what about the economics of this? Trying to prevent this 3 to 4 degrees Celsius increase in temperature. What does that cost us?
It's important to bring it back to what it means for those of us who are operating within an economy when a government puts a policy in to change your behavior. And the typical way that this is discussed here in DC is a carbon tax. A carbon tax would be, in the opinion of the taxers, a simple way to incentivize us to use less of the carbon-intensive fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas. What that would do is drive up the price of our energy immediately. One of the main arguments that we've seen is for a $40 per ton carbon tax. What that translates to is 30 cents or so additional price on every gallon of gas. So these policies, which discuss their goals in highfalutin terms, the implication is that we're all going to pay more for the things we rely upon each day. And that's something that I certainly am not willing to stand for.
Well, we have pretty high gas prices already here in Nevada, and most of that reason is taxes already. That's why we pay such high prices for our gas, is because the gas tax is so high. This just seems like an emotional way to get people to agree to tax themselves more. Is that what's going on here, really? We know that we have a party that really likes to tax and spend, and they've just kind of come at us from another direction.
And it's a multi-pronged offensive. We're facing challenges from the left wing, from the Democratic Party, that are really quite ridiculous, such as the Green New Deal. But then on the right, you have these carbon tax advocates. So those of us here at IER and those of us who are fighting the good fight in Washington are trying to make it clear that a carbon tax is not a reasonable middle ground. That's a really bad policy too.
Thank you. Thank you for being there and fighting that good fight for us, because those of us who are in the middle ground, as you say, out here in the heartland are saying, please, we're dying under the pressure of all these taxes that government has already put on us. Even though the economy is going great, we still have a huge tax burden. We have to go to a break right now, but we want you to stay with us so we can come back and talk a little bit more about the contradiction. And I'm just curious how this guy even got a Nobel Peace Prize out of this deal when he doesn't agree with the guys that were giving him the award. But we're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, Leading Edge Radio Network, and AM/FM 24/7. And now you can watch us on the AUN TV network in Northern California, specifically Nancy Pelosi's stomping grounds, San Francisco and Sacramento. We'll be right back with our guest, Jordan McGillis of IER, talking about climate change and the real solution to what may be a problem. I'm Sharron Angle, and my co-host is Rick Trader. We'll be right back.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes. Now, people say, why didn't you report it to the authorities? Well, they were the ones doing it.
Elton goes to vote for merit.
The integrity of one man, one vote doesn't apply at the Texas state legislature. There is no way to know if your representatives are voting for themselves.
Hartman, a Republican, reaches back to vote for Democrat Oliveira. Democrat Matt Reynolds votes for Republican England.
2 out of 3 voters nationwide believe that voter fraud is a serious problem in the U.S. today.
The process is rigged.
Both sides of the aisle are guilty.
Florida now has to tell the Department of Justice whether the state will comply with DOJ's demand to stop purging thousands of people from its voter rolls.
We have the sloppiest election system of any industrialized democracy.
Philadelphia flagged 50,000 duplicate registrations, so just think how many more slipped through.
It's almost impossible to detect. How do you get caught? You only get caught if you confess.
Election corruption is deeply embedded in America. Quote, election fraud is a crime that usually pays, unquote, writes Tracy Campbell in his book, Deliver the Vote, A History of Election Fraud, an American political tradition from 1742 to 2004. In 1742, the first Prime Minister of Britain in the American colonies, Robert Walpole, was forced to resign.
We have a right not to have our vote canceled out by someone who shouldn't be voting, someone who's an illegal alien, someone who's a felon not eligible to vote, someone who doesn't exist. If they vote, they cancel your vote out as much as if you're prevented from voting.
If this is going to be fixed, it's going to have to be a citizen effort. It comes down to, it's the same old question, if not now, when? If not us, then who?
This is huge. This is about the democracy and the principles of the United States of America. People say, but why you? Why you? Why? Well, why not? And if it starts with a fireman, if it starts with a sanitation worker, if it starts with a teacher or a nurse or a caretaker of the elderly, then so be it. It's got to start somewhere. But it's time we come together and fix this problem once and for all.
There is no serious person out there who would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
Allegations of voter fraud, the claims raising questions about the
Commerce Secretary Ron Brown and 32 others were on a military plane that crashed today in a violent storm. There are no known survivors at this time.
The U.S. Army was funded by the evil entity.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
The process is rigged.
So it's incredibly important now that we draw a line and say, not on our watch.
Okay, I'll bring it back in about 5 seconds. And thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. My co-host today is Sharron Engel. I'm Rick Trader, and our guest is Jordan McGillis. He is a policy analyst at the Institute for Energy Research. And about 2 years ago, the Trump administration announced the United States was withdrawing from the Paris Climate Accords. And without it, the United States has actually reduced its emissions by about 10% since 2005. Jordan, thank you for holding through that break. We do appreciate your time.
Of course.
Well, Jordan, our president pulled us out of this climate hoax, this climate deal, but yet our air is getting cleaner. Why is that? I would think if we're ignoring these treaties, our air would be getting dirtier.
That's what the left wants you to think, and the numbers tell a different story. As you mentioned, we've had a 10% decline since 2005 in our greenhouse gas emissions, and that's purely a result of the fracking revolution. It's changed the way that we're producing our energy, and lo and behold, it's actually brought our emissions down. Another story that's been going on for a little longer, since the 1970s or so, is our criteria pollutants have been dropping dramatically, and that shouldn't surprise anyone either. Countries tend to do better in these ecological metrics when they're richer. So the most likely outcome over the course of the 20th century is that places like China and India will continue to build their economies, and then they'll also reduce the intensity of their emissions, and they'll have a cleaner future as well, as we've experienced here.
Jordan, has China or India signed this Paris Accord?
They've both signed it, and it should be surprising.
Do you really think that they're going to adhere to this?
Well,
do you think they're going to adhere to this treaty that they signed?
Well, first, let me say what it is they signed up to do. The U.S. Pledged that it would reduce emissions by 26 to 28% by 2025. That's fairly steep. China pledged to reduce its emissions only beginning in the year 2030. So they're giving themselves another 11 years of wide open growth. Is there any reason not to sign on to that? India, even funnier, India has only pledged to reduce the intensity of its carbon emissions. What that means is that they don't intend to reduce the cumulative sum they're emitting. They intend to simply reduce the volume of CO2 per GDP dollar. So they intend to continue building their economy, emitting more, but that they'll have more growth relative to their emissions. So that's not even reduction in absolute terms. And the funniest, Pakistan. Pakistan has committed to reducing its emissions after it reaches a peak. Think about that. That means nothing whatsoever. Any country could say that exact same thing. After you peak, well, naturally it will decline, and that's what Pakistan committed to do.
But yet, countries around the world point their finger at the United States, say, look at them, they're not signing this accord. It's history. Unbelievable.
Right. And you don't have to take it from people like us that this is a ridiculous agreement. James Hansen, who's one of the leading climate activists, he called the Paris Agreement a fraud, and for good reason. The plan alleges to have a goal of reducing warming to 2 degrees Celsius, and yet if you actually add up all of the pledges, it's only going to reduce warming to 3 degrees Celsius. So it's not even going to achieve its goal if people execute it on their plan, which, by the way, they're not.
Jordan, I wanted to talk about these numbers. Sharron said it's only 4 degrees. That's 4 degrees Celsius. That's 9 degrees Fahrenheit.
Correct.
Now, show me going back the last 100 years or 150 years where our air was so dirty, where the temperatures have raised 9 degrees. Okay, show me some studies somewhere that in the last 150, 200 years that our temperatures have actually increased, our hot temperatures, 9 degrees. That's unheard of. That's unrealistic. The other thing that really fries me, Jordan, and I bet it does to you also, because you certainly have studied more about this than I have, is the ice ages. That just in the last 100,000 years, there have been 4 major ice ages. I don't know what causes them, but about every 25,000 years, there's an ice age. In fact, the last one was about 12,000 years ago. And at that time, North America was covered in a sheet of ice all the way down to Princeton, New Jersey. In some places, that ice sheet was 2 miles thick. And Jordan, please, you have all these degrees from Seton Hall and University of South Florida. What were those people driving? How were they heating their homes 12,000 years ago that melted all that ice? Please tell me. Tell me where your education's gone.
Well, we should be thankful that ice is gone. It's allowed us to have much better agriculture and a much better lifestyle. And a little bit of warming into the 21st and 22nd centuries is not going to upend our civilization, that's for sure.
Jordan McGillis, let's hope it is the economy, stupid, because it seems like that's what drives society today. In fact, there was just an election in Australia a couple of weeks ago where the Greens actually lost, and their whole platform was climate control. Can you talk with us a little bit about what happened in Australia?
I sure can. Australia has been a bit of a canary in the coal mine, if you will, for countries like the United States. It's a similarly energy-intensive economy, and about 8 years ago, they implemented a carbon tax, and it didn't last long. People were not happy with it. Electricity prices rose precipitously. I believe there was about a 20% increase within 2 years in their electricity prices, and they repealed that policy in 2014. So they've had a real shift. That was just the beginning. And as you said, in this recent election, the Liberal Party, which is the party that would be more conservative from our perspective, they won on a platform of rolling back some of the outrageous energy restrictions they have in place and on growing their energy economy, versus the Labour Party, which was going all in on the climate change narrative and really wanted to clamp down on the productive people down under.
Jordan McGillis, policy analyst at the Institute for Energy Research. We want to thank you for joining us here on Conservative Commandos. Please tell our audience where they could find out more.
We're at instituteforenergyresearch.org, and our advocacy arm is at americanenergyalliance.org. Thank you guys so much for having me today.
Jordan McGillis, again, thank you so much for joining us. Take care and God bless. And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. On the other side, we're going to be speaking with Alan Gottleib. He's the publisher of Gun Week magazine. We're going to be discussing the Virginia governor pushes for gun control after a Virginia Beach shooting. Don't go away. Sharron and I will be back with our next guest right after this break.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. For rebroadcast, check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. And Sharron, we have our next guest with us. Please make him feel welcome.
Well, it's a pleasure to introduce Alan Gottleib, who is a strong advocate for defense, a nuclear engineering graduate of the University of Tennessee and publisher of Gun Week, chairman of the Citizens Committee for Right to Keep and Bear Arms, and founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. And he serves on the board of directors of the American Conservative Union. Alan, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Great to be back with you. Thank you very much.
Well, we wanted to talk to you about this Virginia Beach shooting and how the governor is pushing for more gun control after the shooting. We talked about the narrative. This just really doesn't fit the left's narrative, this crime, does it? I mean, how is more gun control going to help prevent a crime like the one that was just committed there?
That's a great question that you asked. Because in all honesty, the governor there is now proposing all kinds of things like you can only buy one gun a month. However, the person who committed the killings bought one gun in 2016 and one gun last year. So they weren't even in the same month. And likewise, he's screaming for universal background checks, but this particular shooter went through multiple background checks. In addition to that, he wants to ban suppressors. And this shooter got a suppressor legally by going through an enhanced background check at the same time. And he's got a whole bunch of other legislative options like banning so-called assault weapons when the shooter used two handguns. There is nothing in any of his proposals that could have possibly stopped this from happening.
Well, and that's why we're not hearing too much about it from the mainstream media. It just doesn't fit their narrative at all, does it?
Well, I don't know. I'm hearing a lot from the so-called liberal dominant media, screaming for gun control editorials in the Washington Post, the New York Times. I think they're on a warpath against gun rights, and they're going to use this to push their anti-gun rights agenda.
Well, that's good to know that they are still on the rampage, I guess, because we know it just doesn't really fit their narrative. We were reading another article about Chicago, and they had 52 shootings over the Memorial Day weekend, the highest they've ever had. We didn't hear too much about that either, and yet gun control seems to be the answer. Do you think that's, I mean, it's just ludicrous for us here. Alan, comment on that.
Yeah, Chicago had an unbelievable weekend of violence in that city. And again, what's interesting is when people get arrested or convicted for gun crimes, having illegal guns in the city of Chicago, they put them back out on bail and they don't put them in jail. And when they're found guilty, they put them back out on the street because their jails are overcrowded. Then they wonder why they have a crime problem. And their answer, of course, is to try and ban everybody's law-abiding citizens from having guns and putting the criminals back out on the street. That makes no sense, and it's proven in this Memorial Day weekend when you look at the statistics, the city of Chicago with a record number of shootings and killings.
Well, and it's the same with this fellow that committed the crime there in Virginia Beach, this Dwayne Craddock. It seems that he was really into this suicide by policeman. You know, we know about that there are people that are just so bent on self-destruction, but they want somebody else to do it, and so they commit a crime so horrendous that they can't survive when the police come after them. And this is what this looks like. This doesn't look like anything that is truly something that gun control could do anything about. This it seems to be a mental issue, something that maybe we should be looking at as far as treatments rather than gun control.
Yeah, there are a lot of reasons why we have violence and a lot of these crazy, horrendous crimes being committed. And a lot of it deals with mental health issues. There's no two ways about that. But, solving mental health problems in our country is an expensive proposition. Passing a piece of legislation saying, can't own a firearm, we're going to prohibit people from owning a gun, it's really easy. It's a stroke of a pen, doesn't cost them any money. And they can say, look, we tried to do something. But it doesn't solve any problems. If anything, it tends to make things a lot worse. And that's what we're seeing. We have 22 Democratic candidates for president out there, each trying to outgun the other when it comes to more stricter gun control, so to speak. And it's crazy, from banning all semi-automatic firearms to banning standard capacity magazines to banning all kinds of calibers of bullets to taxing gun owners out of existence. The state of Illinois just tried to pass a law that would have increased the fees to be able to own a gun 400% in 1 year. And this is what we're dealing with: is death by 1,000 cuts to the Second Amendment. They know they can't just walk in and pass, a constitutional amendment to say you no longer have a right to keep your arms. Because American people would never put up with that. So they pretend instead to just ignore the amendment exists and do everything they can to emasculate it.
Well, and I think you hit on a really important point, and that is politics. This Governor Northam has had problems politically. He has even been, it's been suggested that he should be recalled, that he should resign, that he is not fit for office. And so here he is switching the whole political focus now from his inappropriate behavior to something that you say now every Democrat wants to get in line and have his own points made on the Second Amendment.
Yeah, his inappropriate behavior has really splintered his base a whole lot. And to try and unify his base and get people to ignore what's going on in his governor's mansion, he basically is trying to push gun control, which unifies his political left wing in his party and go after gun owners. I mean, this is deplorable when we have elected officials like this that act like this. What we need to do is we need to ban assault politicians, not firearms.
APs, not ARs. and just a point of fact, AR-16s, they get a lot of bad press, but AR does not mean assault rifle, does it, Alan?
Correct. It means Armalite rifle, the designers who made the rifle. I know the other side, they misuse everything they can. Like they don't want to say they're for gun control, so they say we're for gun safety. Well, gun safety is not gun control. And they talk about we're for common sense, we're for common sense gun laws. But they don't tell you we already have 22,000 plus laws on the books right now that regulate the private ownership, use, and possession of firearms. I mean, they really want to change the narrative because they know if they really say the words as they really mean, that's what they really mean, that the American people would not follow their dance tune.
Well, I want you to repeat that number again because I've never heard that number when you talk about gun laws. Tell us again, how many gun laws?
There's actually over 22,500 laws that regulate the private ownership, use, and possession of firearms on a federal, state, and local basis in our United States today.
22,500 more than that. 22,500 laws. I can't imagine another law that would prevent anything that we've been seeing in the past 20 years, really. And we've seen some of those passed in the past 20 years, haven't we?
Yeah, again, it's all this fallacy that somehow you think that if you pass one more law, a criminal who breaks laws by nature is going to obey this new law you pass, even though, murder is already illegal, rape is illegal, robbery is illegal. So owning a gun, they're surely not going to abide by that law if they don't abide by any of the others.
Our guest this segment is Alan Gottleib. He is the publisher of Gun Week and also the chairman of the Citizens Committee for the Right to Bear Arms and the founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. Alan, when you talk about these 22,500 laws, and Sharron, I, like you, never heard this. This is unbelievable. Alan, has there ever been any studies that have been done on these laws to show where they have had any effect on criminal violence? And I don't call it gun violence. I call it criminal violence. Anywhere that any studies have been done that says that any of these laws have worked, have had any effect?
Well, first of all, you're correct in calling it criminal violence, not gun violence, because a gun doesn't have a brain to hate with or a finger to pull its own trigger. So it's criminal violence, you're right. There have been a number of studies done that show either that the laws have no effect or that these gun laws have a negative effect. For example, a lot of the laws that are passed have these so-called gun-free school zones or gun-free malls or gun-free theaters or gun-free city halls. All they do is attract bad guys like magnets and make them victim disarmament zones where people get killed. There is no statistics whatsoever from anybody's study or survey that shows any of these gun control laws ever passed in the United States have had an effect on crime.
All right, oh my God, throw another law at it, and that shows that we're doing something. Alan, I'm sure you're in. I'm not sure. I'm going to ask the question: are you in close enough contact with gun manufacturers, in particular the manufacturer of the AR-15, and maybe they should change their name?
Well, first of all,
or change the name of that particular rifle?
Yeah. Well, first of all, there are a number of gun manufacturers that make AR rifles. It isn't just one manufacturer. It's the most popular selling rifle platform in the United States today. There are millions of them there, and like a million of them get sold every year, or more than a million. Changing the name isn't going to mean a whole lot because the other side is going to still call them an assault rifle no matter what. So it doesn't matter if it's AR-15 or you change it, to something else. It's a generic name. The other side wants to demonize it. It's a long story of demonizing guns in general. It used to be they demonized handguns by calling, inexpensive handguns Saturday night specials. That didn't work so well, and now they tried the assault rifle thing. The reason they call it an assault rifle is they're trying to confuse it with fully automatic firearms used by the military. So the average person in public thinks these are fully automatic firearms when they're not. They're just semi-automatic versions. And that they, again, the other side likes to change the narrative and change what the meanings of words are to push their anti-gun rights, gun prohibition agenda.
All right. Hey, Alan, my Facebook friends put up a couple of posts, and I wanted to tell you about them. And just to get your reaction, some of them, a couple of them may be silly, but one was about abortions. One was liberals want you to believe that if abortions are made illegal, that women would get them illegally. And the idea of this is, okay, if you make guns illegally, won't people get them illegally? That was one post I thought was interesting. And the other idea is that it seems like many of these mass killings, mass shootings are being done by Democrats, people that are registered Democrats, that maybe we should ban Democrats from getting guns. And your thoughts, Alan Gottleib?
Well, that's the joke around our office. We always talk about maybe the solution to this problem is don't ban gun ownership for everybody, just ban gun ownership from Democrats, since they don't believe anybody should own guns anyway. Let Democrats not own guns, but leave the rest of us alone. The truth is that the other side is so intellectually dishonest when it comes to this issue. It's amazing. The media and Democratic politicians are really quick to go crazy when somebody misuses a gun, but they totally put their head in the sand anytime anybody uses a firearm to save lives. In our country, over 800,000 times a year, somebody uses a gun to protect themselves or their family from criminal attack. And in 99% of the cases, the gun's never even fired. The mere presence of the gun diffuses the crime. The rapist flees as quickly as he attacked. The home burglar leaves as quickly as he entered. There's a very good side of guns, and to get good public policy, you got to look at both sides of the equation. But the gun prohibition lobby in this country, politicians, the media, they only want to look at one side of the equation. They never want to talk about any time somebody uses a gun to save a life.
All right. Hey, Alan, I know we only have you for one more minute, but I wanted to get your reaction to Michael Bloomberg's Every Town for Gun Safety. What's that all about?
Well, it's every town for gun prohibition. Again, their gun safety is one of those misnomers. But Michael Bloomberg puts in tens and tens of millions of dollars every year into this organization to go after people's Second Amendment rights in our country. I wish we had the money to match him. We don't have any billionaires that support us to the extent that he does. And quite frankly, what he wants to do is buy away our Second Amendment rights.
Alan Gottleib, publisher Gun Week, chairman of the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, and the founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. Alan, we want to thank you for joining us. Please tell our audience how they could find out more about what you do.
Well, the easiest, best place to go is a website at saf.org, SAF for Second Amendment Foundation.org, or just put Second Amendment Foundation to any browser and we'll pop right up. And it's saf.org, and we'd love your listeners and lots of viewers to come on board and come to our website and join with us. Thank you.
All right, Alan Gottleib, thank you so much for joining us. Take care and God bless.
God bless you too.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Good morning, I'm George Stephanopoulos, and we are coming on the air because we have just learned that the U.S. ambassador to Libya has been killed.
The day after the attack, Governor, I stood in the Rose Garden and I told the American people and the world that this was an act of terror.
These protests were in reaction to the video.
Over an awful internet video.
It began spontaneously in Benghazi
as a violent protest sparked by this hateful video.
So you don't regard it as an act of terrorism?
I don't think we know enough.
Reaction to the video.
You had a video that was released.
We saw no evidence to back up claims by others that this was a pre-planned or premeditated.
There's no video that justifies an attack on an embassy. This video. So this video.
I would say yes. They were killed in the course of a terrorist attack.
It was a terrorist attack.
It is, I think, self-evident that what happened in Benghazi was a terrorist attack.
Witnesses tell CBS News that there was never an anti-American protest outside of the consulate. Instead, they say it came under planned attack.
We devastated al-Qaeda's leadership. We have dealt al-Qaeda a huge blow. Al-Qaeda is on the path to defeat, and today al-Qaeda is on its heels. If 4 Americans get killed, it's not optimal.
They haven't told me anything. They're still studying it. And the things that they are telling me are just outright lies.
But when it comes to our national security, I mean what I say.
I think this is, Sean, one of the worst cover-ups probably in the history of the Republic.
And once again, thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is Sharron Engel. Yes, that's Sharron Engel. And once again, for rebroadcast of our shows, please check out our website, CCRShow.com. That's CCRShow.com. You'll find our radio show there, our TV show there, a lot of terrific articles, and a lot of great information. And with that, Sharron, we do have our next guest with us. The honor of the introduction is yours.
It is an honor and a pleasure and a privilege to introduce Major General Paul Vallely, West Point graduate, founder of Stand Up America, and former Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations under President Reagan, and retired as Deputy Commanding General for the U.S. Army Pacific. Now he's a guest military analyst for TV and radio and the co-author of the book Endgame, the Blueprint for Victory in the War on Terror. Major General Paul Vallely, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Well, thank you. I just have one correction. It's Vallely.
Vallely, okay. Vallely.
Those L's in there get very confusing, Sharon, so I can understand. Even my best friend sometimes mispronounce it.
Well, I'll put some accent marks on there. Vallely. Okay.
Vallely.
Well, General Vallely, you have an update on Benghazi. We haven't heard about Benghazi for years. In fact, I almost feel like we have to give a history course before we can even talk about Benghazi, because the mainstream media does not want to talk about that. I feel like there is a conspiracy, at least some corruption surrounding that whole affair, and yet no one seems to have any real appetite, I guess, for discussing Benghazi anymore. So tell us about Benghazi, and then we're excited to hear what the update is.
Well, you know, the final truth has never come out on Benghazi. As you may remember, during the congressional hearings, Trey Gowdy headed those hearings up. And at that time, Admiral Lyons and I had formed the Citizens Commission on Benghazi to assist in the investigations to get to the truth. And during that period of time, we had the likes of Hillary Clinton, Leon Panetta, as well as General Dempsey, who is chairman of the Joint Chiefs, testifying. And so all the information we received about that 13 hours where we lost 4 great Americans at that compound in Benghazi, the questions came up during the hearings that Trey Gowdy held, and we found that Hillary, General Dempsey, and Leon Panetta both lied. All three of them lied, excuse me. They lied in two different areas. One, they said basically that the intelligence wasn't enough, that they could depend on mounting a rescue operation, or words to that degree. The other thing was that there weren't any assets in the Mediterranean area of Army, Navy, Marines, Special Ops, Air Force, etc., to launch an immediate rescue operation. So there you have that 13 hours that all that went on, and we never sent one thing but a drone overhead. So we lost 4 Americans. Well, it all died out because Trey Gowdy, we gave him everything, and if I can relate it to football, he got it to the 10-yard line, but never went in the goal, crossed the goal. With everything we gave him, it just dropped out of sight. And every once in a while it surfaces. Well, Charles Woods, a good friend of mine, who was father of Tyrone Woods, who perished as one of the 4 during that 13 hours, we found out that the State Department issued a stand-down order in the second hour of the 13 hours, the second hour, that they weren't going to even attempt a rescue operation. So Charles Woods called me several months ago, and he said, we have new information from 3 or 4 people who were on duty that night that were monitoring the assets in the Mediterranean and monitoring the activity that was going on when the attack occurred in that first hour in Benghazi. So I've interviewed all of these individuals, and it's really quite interesting what they had to reveal to me. My mission now is to get this information to President Trump, because with everything that's going on in the FBI, the CIA, what's going on in the what we call the deep state now, reflects back to really what happened in Benghazi and why we never started that rescue operation when we had assets in the area. So that's the prelude to it. I can continue on with maybe a question you may have.
Sure, I would like you to continue on, because this has baffled me from the beginning. And I've seen the film anyway. There is a movie out, a portrayal of what happened there at Benghazi. And we heard the stand down order in the movie. They actually went ahead and published those stand down orders. And of course, the valiant men that were there, they could not leave anyone behind. That's just part of the code, and they couldn't stand down. They had to perform some kind of rescue efforts themselves. And so I would like you to just continue on with, that the left would like us to believe that there was no conspiracy, there was no lying, there was no cowardice on the part of those that were in charge. And that I don't know how else to say this, but
hey, Sharon, Sharon, I hate to interrupt, but you know what else there wasn't during those hours? There was no Barack Obama. Even Panetta and even Dempsey said they could not find Barack Obama from 5:30 in the afternoon till 11:30 at night. General, is that true? Do you know if that's true?
Yes, that is true, and then that's when the State Department took over the situation there, which should have been a Department of Defense operation for the rescue operation, because State Department doesn't do those kinds of things. But Hillary took over, and in that second hour of the 13, that's when the word came down. Now, one individual, I'm not going to give their names today, but I've given you their names in a report that I think I sent to you earlier, and I would like you to have those 3 individuals come on your next radio show, because what they have to tell will reinforce what they have told me, of which I publish now, and I'm working on getting all this information out, and particularly it's got to arrive in the White House so Trump can take action on this. But one of the individuals who was on duty that night was at Ramstein Air Force Base, which is in Germany. And Ramstein, their command and control center, they watch everything that's going on in Europe and the Middle East. They have these big TV monitors. You've seen what command and control headquarters looks like. So they're sitting there watching what started this whole Benghazi attack. So you have another individual who is at Central Command headquarters in Tampa, Florida, at the air base there. And so he's watching the same thing from the United States because Central Command is in charge of the Middle East. We have a 4-star general always. It's the command of the Central Command. And their responsibility is the Middle East. So you have one in Germany watching. You have another in Tampa, Florida watching this monitors, watching the attack as best they could. The gentleman that you'll interview that was in Tampa at Central Command was told in the second hour to back down. Let's get off the Benghazi situation. We're running a command post exercise. And if you know what that is in the military, it's basically a planning episode where you set up a scenario and you run that exercise. And so he was told to back down by one of the officers in the chain of command, don't follow Benghazi anymore. Ramstein, basically, when the stand-down order came, the same thing happened in Ramstein. And so we never launched any kind of information, even though that information was readily available to those who wanted to see real-time occurrences there in Libya. So we had C-130s spinning up, ready to go. We had a rescue operation team in Djibouti. We had Marines on one of our fleets in the Middle East. We had special ops and air and Sigonella in Spain. The at that time, I don't know whether the F-15s or F-16s, I can't remember exactly, that were spinning up, could have been on target within an hour and a half. On target within an hour and a half. And I've had this verified by Lieutenant General Tom McInerney, whose last assignment was Vice Chief of Staff of the Air Force, who's flown many combat missions. So if they were given the word to launch, they could have launched those attack jets over Benghazi to give air support to that compound where we had a number of Americans working there, including CIA. And you remember in the movie, the CIA agent in charge in Benghazi is the one that held them back from even going to the annex over to the compound where Ambassador Stevens was. So as you see how it all comes together now, and that's why Panetta, Dempsey, and Hillary Clinton, again, they've got to be held accountable for the lives of 4 Americans, because I can tell you if the special ops got in there, the air with our helicopters, fleet forces of the Marines that are part of the Mediterranean Fleet over there, the 7th Fleet, they could have in fact been on the support side of things between the 2nd hour and the 4th hour. But that thing, you remember, went on for 13 hours.
Well, those are brave men. They fought and they fought, and we watched it. The answer, of course, the question that I want answered is why? Why would they lie? Why did they cover it up? Why wouldn't they help?
Well, we have the answer to that also, Sharon. It involves an arms deal gone bad. And you remember there was a shipment of arms that went out of Libya up to Turkey and into Syria, basically to support the resistance movements there and some Al-Qaeda groups in that area, as has been investigated and reported.
Did you say support Al-Qaeda?
Yeah, those arms were up, and some of those arms from Libya actually ended up in Syria with Al-Qaeda, yes.
Are they?
Those
I'm
arms
sorry,
still got back, basically. And also we had man pads, we had, where the missiles that you can do from basically a holding position, you take down an aircraft, surface-to-air missile. You've seen pictures of them. And so there are a lot of them that were missing, but Mark Turry is a guy that you should interview on that, because he was the one that was in charge, basically, of the arms deal there that went bad. And again, ordered by the State Department. What's the State Department doing in the arms business? That's a Defense Department activity. Figure that out. So all of these things, when you put them together, This was a massive cover-up, and it was done by, again, primarily those in charge, from the White House, the Secretary of State, to Panetta at that time, who's, I believe, was Secretary of Defense after the CIA, and General Dempsey was Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Four of the most senior people that could have launched that rescue operation. Whether it was going to be successful or not, you don't know that, but you can't leave our men behind. We have to go and at least attempt a rescue operation, especially when we have that time factor of almost 13 hours when we could have done it.
We need to go to a break. We are talking with Major General Paul Vallely about Benghazi. And the only thing that comes to my mind is treason. None dare call this treason, but that's all that comes to my mind. We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, Leading Edge Radio Network, and AM/FM 24/7. And now you can watch us on the AUN TV network in Northern California. And I hope that our president is watching this segment with Major General Vallely. And we'll be right back after this break with Rick Trader, my co-host, and I'm Sharron Angle.
Libyan visa. Official.
Pull over for inspection.
Sorry, sir, I can't do that.
Pull over for inspection.
How willing are you to die for your country? I'm ready to go right here, right now.
Everybody, this is Jack Silva.
Jack.
We train SEALs at Coronado, so he knows the drill.
Welcome to Club Med.
We need immediate assistance. We are overrun. State's under attack. Let's go, man. State's under attack. Let's go. We gotta move. If you do not get here soon, we are all gonna die.
You have a U.S. ambassador at risk.
The ambassador is in his safe haven. You're not the first responders. You're the last resort. You will wait.
None of you have to go. But we are the only help they have.
Called fire support. Never came.
You're not giving orders anymore. You're in my world now.
We have 36 American lives to save.
Good morning, I'm George Stephanopoulos, and we are coming on the air because we have just learned that the U.S. ambassador to Libya has been killed.
The day after the attack, Governor, I stood in the Rose Garden and I told the American people and the world that this was an act of terror.
These protests were in reaction to the video.
Over an awful internet video.
It began spontaneously in Benghazi as a violent protest sparked by this hateful video.
So you don't regard it as an act of terrorism?
I don't think we know enough.
Reaction to the video.
You had a video that was released.
We saw no evidence to back up claims by others that this was a pre-planned or premeditated attack.
There's no video that justifies an attack on an embassy. This video. So this video, the video.
I would say yes. They were killed in the course of a terrorist attack.
It was a terrorist attack.
It is, I think, self-evident that what happened in Benghazi was a terrorist attack.
Witnesses tell CBS News that there was never an anti-American protest outside of the consulate. Instead, they say it came under planned attack.
We've devastated al-Qaeda's leadership. We have dealt al-Qaeda a huge blow. Al-Qaeda is on the path to defeat, and today Al-Qaeda is on its heels.
If 4 Americans get killed, it's not optimal.
They haven't told me anything. They're still studying it. And the things that they are telling me are just outright lies.
When it comes to our national security, I mean what I say.
I think this is, Sean, one of the worst cover-ups probably in the history of the Republic.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Allegations of voter fraud, the claims raising questions about the
Commerce Secretary Ron Brown and 32 others were on a military plane that crashed today in a violent storm. There are no known survivors at this time.
The U.S. Army was funded by the evil entity.
saw voter fraud with my own eyes.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
The process is rigged.
People die and fall for the right to vote. It's it's too brutal.
So it's incredibly important now that we draw a line and say, not on our watch.
And welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. Want to give one more shout out because we appreciate these folks. The folks that listen to us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, Washington, D.C. Wouldn't it be nice if we knew President Trump was listening? Our guest this segment is General Paul Vallely. He is the founder of Stand Up for America. General Vallely, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time.
Well, it's my pleasure to be with you. And our foundation is standupamericaus.org. They can go on that website and they can see all the archived articles and investigations, everything we've done. So it's standupamericaus.org. So just wanted to clarify that.
All right. Thank you, General, for that. You know, we've been talking with you. We've talked with Admiral Lyons. We've talked to Roger Aronoff, all part of the Citizens Commission on Benghazi. And we're it's amazing to me, General. We're still getting information about it, about Dempsey, about Panetta, about Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama. But I got to ask you this question. Has the public fallen asleep on this? Have they forgotten all about Benghazi? Are they thinking, wow, that was another administration, that was years ago. Why should people care now?
Well, the people would care. The people that went to sleep on the switch are in Congress and in the White House. How many opportunities have there been to bring this to service and find these individuals who are actually on duty during that period of time? No one took that action. We tried to get General Ham, who was in charge at that time, to come on and share the stand-down order that he got. We couldn't get him to do it. And there's a two-star admiral that needs to be brought into the whole thing. I've got to get this phone here. Sorry, I don't know why that happened. Sorry about that, guys.
It's all right. It's live radio. It happens.
My command and control center here. I can't control it all.
Well, this isn't Fox. You know, this is real and live as it gets. So we don't mind that. But you can continue.
So anyhow, they went to sleep on the switch. Trey Gowdy went to sleep. What happened to getting to the goal line and making sure that people were held accountable? And if that happens, the media loses interest, and therefore no reporting is going on. Mm-hmm. We all got very frustrated. As a matter of fact, Charles Woods, again, father of Ty Woods, he's been so frustrated by this whole thing, knowing full fact that we had people that were going to come forth. But there again, there's not been any more hearings. These young people that I've interviewed and have brought forth now, who will talk on the air, by the way, have what happened during that period of time. So they all dropped the ball. But we got to reserve because we have to hold these people accountable, just like in the Russian collusion myth and all of that that's going on that we've seen in the last few years.
I agree with that. And General, I just want to clarify. I know you and Sharron talked about, but I just need to clarify. We could have had assets there within an hour and a half to 2 hours, definitely within 2 to 4 hours. Yeah. What difference would it have? I'll use one of Hillary Clinton's lines. What difference would it have made?
Well, if you picture the compound and you figure the forces that were outside the compound, You figure the convoys that are coming into that area, with the look down, see down capability we have with our drones and with our satellites and overhead type of capability, we could be tracking where every person, every car is moving in and around that compound. Now, with laser capability, laser targeted capability, our drones could have taken out almost all those people around the compound, in addition to the fighter jets who could deliver some of the ammunitions. Very precise weapon systems. We could have had special forces brought in on the ground to do a ground operation and raid against the those that were attacking, and they were in the hundreds, by the way. And so that operation has been practiced and contingency plans for years. If any of our embassies get attacked, what are we going to do about it? You can remember the failed raid under Carter in Tehran. So those kinds of things are practiced, they're rehearsed. We have assets that are chosen to do those things, the Special Forces, the Delta, Navy SEALs. You've got your fighter jets, you've got your helicopter pilots. All those were in the Mediterranean area at that time. And so generals and admirals doing their job could have launched that operation in the second hour or maybe in the first hour. But there was action taken. So,
I have to ask, why did they want the ambassador dead? That's all this looks like, is they were just withdrawing from him. They wanted him dead. Why?
Well, again, it goes back to the arms deal. He was there really to negotiate something on that. And it was a cover-up. It's not that they didn't want ambassador to be saved initially. They just wanted to make sure that the cover-up was intact. And I think, Sharon, that's the reason they issued the stand-down order. It was a cover-up.
Incredible. The arms deal, as you were saying, that was a function of the State Department, correct? Did I understand that?
Yeah, Mark Turi, T-U-R-I, you need to get him on the program. He was in charge of it. He's a really good guy, and he's been harassed for years because of what he's known. And he's testified in front of some of the committees in Congress.
And I only want to emphasize that because the Secretary of State during that time was who? General Vallely? Who was the Secretary?
Hillary. I think her name was Hillary.
I'm telling you, there is so much garbage around those two people, Hillary and Bill Clinton. I mean, it would take an army of sanitary engineers to clean up the garbage around them. General Vallely, we've got to leave. We want to thank you so much for joining us here. Please tell us how they could find out more information about this and also more information about Stand Up America.
Okay, two things. Again, the email that you can reach us on is standupamerica.usa1@gmail.com. The website is standupamericaus.org. So you can email us. We'll send you information, or you go on the website and go what information you can. There's 250,000 hits on Google. So if you want to go Google everything, it's on Google. It's all out there. The fact is, the people in Washington, D.C. didn't take it and cross the goal line. And I hold Trey Gowdy partially responsible for not pushing that forward. But, of course, a lot of others there were holding him back. So there was some politics being played, we know, at that time between the White House, Obama administration, and Congress. So just shows what corruption we've had and developed.
That's really disappointing because I didn't mean to interrupt, but I'm sorry because I really, really, really like Trey Gowdy. General, again, we got to go, but we want to thank you so much for joining us. And one more time, give out that website address.
standupamericaus.org.
General Paul Vallely, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. More importantly, thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Rick.
And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. Sharon and I will be back with more right after this break.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Libyan visa. Official.
Pull over for inspection.
Sorry, sir, I can't do that.
Pull over for inspection.
How willing are you to die for your country? I'm ready to go right here, right now.
Hey everybody, this is Jack Silva.
Jack.
We trained SEALs at Coronado, so he knows the drill.
Welcome to Club Med.
We need immediate assistance. We are overrun.
State's under attack. Let's go, man. State's under attack. Let's go. We gotta move.
If you do not get here soon, we are all gonna die.
You have a U.S. ambassador at risk.
The ambassador is in his safe haven. You're not the first responders. You're the last resort. You will wait.
None of you have to go. But we are the only help they have.
I called fire support. Never came.
You're not giving orders anymore. You're in my world now.
We have 36 American lives to save.
Well, Sharron, that just about wraps it up for today. Once again, I want to thank you so much for being part of Conservative Commandos radio show and all that you do, not just here on the show, but beyond the show. I really do. I don't know what I would do without you. We probably wouldn't exist. If it wasn't for Sharron. I'm serious about that. Serious. But Sharron, please tell our audience how they could keep track of what you do when you're not here with me on doing the show.
Well, they can always get me at my website, SharronAngle.com, SharronAngle.com. There's a connect button there. Contact me. That's a good thing. I want to thank our guests because they make our show, and I'm astounded always at the facts that they bring out that I never really understood before. I want to thank Jordan McGillis for coming on and talking about the 3 to 4 degrees centigrade and how that's really going to affect us over the next 100 years. Didn't know that. Glad to know that that's really what the fact is, and that may be even exaggerated. I also want to thank Alan Gottleib for just recognizing for us that there are over 22,500 gun laws and not one of them.
Wasn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Wasn't that amazing
It's
thing
just,
to hear?
And yet we need one more, right? Or two more, or whatever the Democrats think might really bring that to a focus. And finally, Major General Paul Vallely, who talked to us about Benghazi. We haven't heard too much about it. They made a movie, and really it was shocking, stunning to see who lied, who covered up, and it everything points back to Hillary Clinton. And I'll tell you, I want to put in a plug here for Who Wins When America Loses. It's a documentary done by our good friend Dana Allen about the Democrats. And this just is part and parcel of that. He covers the Clintons in some detail about the problem with them. People die. And we have 4 heroes die and an ambassador who seems to be a sacrificial lamb to a gun deal gone bad. So here we go again with the Clintons and their underhanded, underground. I just can't get furious enough about how we have criminals in the White House, that our president now has been trying to clean up, and I'm hoping he's listening because I would like to see this thing come to at least justice.
You know, Sharron, and it was shocking to me to find out this gun deal was trying to get guns to Al Qaeda, our sworn enemy. Al Qaeda? We were supplying arms or trying to supply arms to Al Qaeda?
Well, the whole revelation undermines us totally when we even consider getting involved in Syria. What is our State Department or the deep state thinking about abandoning our men and women on the front lines? If they're so cavalier about life in Benghazi, how can we even consider getting involved until we get this cleaned up?
All right. We got to run. We got to go. We're out of time. We got to run. We got to go. God bless. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.